much for having us here, and let's jump right into it. Trenton Mays, you're up first.
Hi there. Let's get started, DJ. So, before I ever even knew what architecture was, I was creating it in my backyard out of junk and trash. I was born here in Southwest Louisiana. That red square is the house I grew up in. The woods behind it was my stomping grounds and my exploration for all things disruptive. And so I would go through that woods and pick out old fence posts and old mattresses and old furniture, and I would create spaces for me and my friends to hang out. And so this is me and my buddy Joe creating a structure here behind us out of junk, another man's treasure. And so it was really important for me through that process of creating spaces, even though they maybe weren't code compliant or when rated, they would constantly fall down. And that's part of probably why I'm so good at resilient design in the first place, because all of my designs growing up completely failed most of the time. And so, as I continued that through my entire childhood into middle school, and it always became like it developed into, okay, where do I protect shade, and where do I protect from the sun? Where's a good seating area? And so it developed into more than just collecting junk and building things. It was a passion of mine. So I knew I had to do this for a living. I had to become an architect and build places that would bring people together, especially the ones that I love. And that's kind of how I engaged the community. So as I went off to architecture school, it taught me a lot. There was lots of sleepless nights, lots of trial and error, lots of falling down and getting right back up and doing it again. And another thing is that just grew some resiliency in me and in myself. And there were many, many places that journey took me, but I ultimately chose to go to Los Angeles because I felt like I was going to get the most exposure to great architecture. I saw a city that invested itself into public spaces and parks and gave citizens places to create community. Many cultures exist in Los Angeles, and I was able to experience many different communities within that. I was able to see how Los Angeles activated all of its lakefronts and coastlines and marinas, and to see that impact on a community is huge. And so that decision came one day. Was I going to stay in Los Angeles and make a name for myself, or was I going to take everything I've learned and gathered over the years, and was I going to come back home to Lake Charles? And so here I am. I'm in Lake Charles currently. Thank you so much. So in 2018, I moved back to Lake Charles. And this is one of my favorite pictures of Lake Charles. When you come back as an architect, you start to see your hometown a little differently. You start to see the potential. And the lakefront always captivated me because I loved going to Contraband Days. I played at that splash pad. I went to Millennium Park. And so the lakefront was always a big deal to me. And only in the last 100 years has Lake Charles taken back its lakefront. Before that, wood mills occupied our lakefront. And when the wood and the trees were all gone, they abandoned them, and the city was left to reclaim that lakefront, try to give that lakefront an identity. The Civic Center was built, and there was still a struggle to connect the community to that lakefront. There were many proposals to give the lakefront an identity. Those efforts still continue today with master plan after master plan, which I condone completely. But sometimes Mother Nature has its own way of redefining a place. It redefines the lakefront, and Rita, it completely destroyed it. And it's taken us, honestly, till this time to even gain it back. And then 2020, Hurricane Laura came and redefined it again. And that's when my work kind of shifted. I became the guy that was repairing all these buildings in the hometown I grew up in. Everybody remembers passing that hideous parking garage for years and years sitting on that lakefront. And the opportunity to make that something anew was mind-blowing to me. I didn't know why I was even in this position, to be honest. I thought it was a unique and grateful. I was just very grateful for the opportunity. And so with that, to get that public back to the lakefront, to be able to engage that, you need somewhere to park because we are a driving city. As much as we want to be a walkability city, we need to give public access to that. And another amenity to that is the North Beach. We have a beautiful beach right there on I-10. And Hurricane Laura destroyed those restrooms. And so if you've ever been to a beach without a restroom, you probably, they're kind of important to a beach. And so here they are, we're constructing restrooms for the beach. Another very big, important project for me was Port Wonder. I kind of jumped into the middle of Port Wonder and took it over as my own because I have such a passion for the Children's Museum. As you can see, that's me down below in the old Children's Museum playing with my cousin. And so it had a huge impact on my growing up. And another amenity to the lakefront is Crying Eagle. Crying Eagle is extremely special to me because it's the place I designed from ground up. It was always meant to be it was always meant to be a gathering space where you could bring friends and family and tourists to hang out in front of Lake Charles's greatest asset, and that's the lake. And that out of the hurricane, yes, I was able to rebuild things, but there needed to be more of a sense of community to Lake Charles. After Hurricane Laura, nobody wanted to live here anymore. And so we started This Is Home Fest after the hurricane, which brought a bunch of people to the lakefront. And so I'm just overwhelmed with the opportunities I have here in Lake Charles. It was part of the plan, even though I did not know it. When I was in Los Angeles, I was coming back home to make this place a better place. And I can't wait to keep just imagining what the lakefront could be.
Okay, Jill, you didn't tell me we were going to cry. That was amazing. Let's give it up for Trenton one more time.